What's up?
Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, however and wherever you may be receiving this broadcast. I don't give a damn. I'm just glad that you tuned in. This is Voice One.
Voice One.
On One Voice. Goddamn it. Alright, we are here with the legendary Black Lion, Devion Smith. I am here with Lady Jane, and I am the one and only Cal Tim. Now, if you are the first time you tuning into this show, to give you a brief description, is we discuss topics that have an impact on today's society. So without further ado, how are y'all doing this week?
Yo.
Great. I'm really tired, actually. I'm super tired.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm here.
It's like I feel pretty low energy too, but I'm I had myself a little sip of an energy drink, so I'm just kind of like.
Oh, you had an energy drink.
Yeah.
I have water.
I threw back.
You have an energy drink.
Yeah.
You see how they do me? They get energy drinks, and I have water.
Hey.
I'm healthy.
Didn't you just complain about not going to bed until like 4 this morning or something like that?
No, I got up at like 4
well,
this morning.
whatever. I don't care.
I went to bed at like 1 this morning. There's a difference.
Yeah, turn that
I mean, we prepare. We pre-plan. We already know, like, damn, it's been a long day.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and give me an energy drink.
It has been a long day for me.
It has been a long
lot of
day
stuff
for
going
me
on.
too.
So my quote unquote day job, my daytime occupation. I'm a personal trainer and group fitness coach. I have a small group that I train throughout the day. I have I got some new clients this week. A couple of ladies, they are sisters, and they have different goals and whatnot. But it's been really interesting training them, because one thing that I've noticed is, like, you see people who get very scared about starting their fitness journey, and once they kind of get comfortable with having someone help them along, they get real comfortable, start sharing life details and joking with you and all of that. And it's been pretty fun. It's crazy to me because, I train, I do MMA, and it's like, hey, I got to lose some weight. All right, I'm gonna do it. But I see how people who don't have like a sports background or a sports occupation, they're like, I don't know if I can do this. You know what I mean? And it's like two different. Cisco. It's like two different mentalities.
It's really hard, like getting yourself into the groove of it.
It can be.
But once you get started, like after those first few times, you want to go. You encourage, like, you want to become like a gym rat.
Yeah.
Man, I tell you, that's the hardest thing, is getting started. That's my problem.
Yeah.
It really is the hardest part.
I keep wanting to get started, and then like I'll go like one time, but then I don't. It doesn't work in my schedule to go like the same time in the next 3 days, and then it's like, then I have to try again, and it's frustrating. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I've been finally paying attention to my news feed. Just kind of give y'all a quick rundown. Like, I've completely separated myself from Facebook. I am in the process of like switching the way that I engage with people online strictly to my website. And in the meantime, I've been looking for alternatives for a little bit of everything. So here's what my concern has been. So we all communicate over Messenger and WhatsApp. Both of those are Facebook properties.
Right.
I found a very capable alternative to WhatsApp and Messenger.
What?
It's called, hold on, I gotta find it. It's called Signal, I think. Signal.
But Signal deletes it. It sends encrypted messages much like WhatsApp, but over time it'll delete it. Yeah. And that's the problem with us, for us in particular, because we might need to go back and look at something.
Not a problem for me. And I'm gonna tell you that.
But it is for me.
Here's what's gonna happen. Facebook is planning to completely merge all of their technology for WhatsApp, Instagram Messenger, and Facebook Messenger into one app. So,
but that wouldn't work.
That's exactly what they're doing.
Now here's what I'm saying by it wouldn't work. Okay, what Instagram and Facebook, yes, but the thing about WhatsApp is the fact that it's encrypted.
Well,
so it's not via Facebook. I mean, I know that there's still ways, but it's encrypted. at the end of the day. Like, it's not like that.
I would say like this. I would say in comparison to the Microsoft suite, like Microsoft 365, like they integrated everything to work in unison. So like they actually had things built into each other to make it work. So like how they would like program it, everything would work the same, but you know, like it work together. So like in case you want to sync everything, you have the option to do so.
Right.
Same with like Adobe, like they compiled everything together. Yeah, and just made it like one plan.
But here's the difference.
I'm gonna say this real quick.
Is that Francisco?
Yeah, it's Francisco.
What's up, Francisco?
He was talking about the working out part.
Yep.
He said the hardest part is getting started, which we've addressed that.
Yep.
You just got to keep the momentum going. Usually after the first 2 weeks, I literally work out every day. I work 8 to 10 hours a day, mostly a physical job, and I run by the beach after work or gym. Oh, that's right, because you live by the beach in Oceanside. Okay, you fancy. I forgot.
I'm a little. I want to live by a beach, but not where it gets cold.
I just add part of my routine. Find your purpose. Find your purpose.
I want to be near like a tropical.
That's actually a really good segue into our topic.
Yeah, that is very interesting.
This article, because he talked about purpose.
Yeah.
It was not an article. It was a video.
All right. So, in the description, I added a YouTube link, and the title of the video is "Why Do Men Hate Women?" And of course, you know, it is clickbaity, and it's not really. I don't think it's a quote unquote like literal hate, but there is like resentment that men tend to like men in our culture. And well, I don't know if it's specifically
so the video was "Why do men hate women?" And the dude he used to be an incel, and he's not anymore. Now, what were you gonna say?
I mean, is this like the bitter man?
No, did you watch the video or you didn't get a chance?
He did not watch the video.
So the video, the dude used to be an incel. For those of you who don't know what an incel is, it's involuntary celibacy. Like he can't get none. So they incel winds up being like they're almost a terrorist group.
That's what
actually
they can be almost.
Here's what happened with that. So the term incel. There was a lady. I forgot the woman's name. But she was like interacting with a group on online. I don't remember if it was like Reddit or something like that. And she coined the term incel. And I think she's realizing it was a mistake to give a specific name, because then people started to self-identify with that, and they use that self-identification to then channel their resentment to women as a group.
And the thing is, it's really just because, so the video the guy talked about why do men hate women? And he was talking about it from the incel's perspective. Now, where he is now, he's been with his wife for 8 years, and he's like, she taught me a whole lot that I didn't know. And it has a lot to do with, I took a few notes. One thing was expectations versus reality.
Yep.
Now, I want to know, for those of you watching too, I get told the worst thing you can do is give expectations to someone, because they'll only let you down. But at the same time, aren't standards the same as what's wrong with? Aren't those the same as expectations?
Yeah. I believe that standards / expectations. They can be similar, but they do differ in this. A lot of times, men expect a specific result. And that does not equal standards. That equals They reduce human interaction to equations. Like, I opened the door for you, therefore you will say thank you, or one of those.
Hey, let me see. You want to fuck? The Chris Rock joke.
Yeah,
the Chris Rock joke. You know, like a lot of men got it mixed up to where like kind gestures is a way to try to get in the girl's pants. That's with some guys, and some they try to use that to be, as a way to try to get at the woman. But other times it's just people just being and like also I think also what I notice is like when some men are just doing it just because. And some women take it the wrong way, like, hey, you trying to get at me. Because you opening the door? No,
that is a whole nother problem, I think, because he doesn't talk about this, but if you're opening the door, I'm going to take it as you're being kind. I'm not
Right.
going to take it as you're flirting. I'm not going to take it as you're trying to get in my pants. I'm going to take it as you're being kind. The problem is that kindness is so rare. We mistaken kindness for flirting, I think.
And I think it goes both ways too. I think a lot of men think that the only way that they can interact with women with kind gestures is with the possibility of sex.
Yeah.
And I've seen.
Wait,
actually
the only way that
the only kind gestures that men
can do
interact with women is
would
with
be
the
an expectation of
for
sex
later.
So that'd be the expectation.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be the standard, but that would be
So that's why I say it gets they can be similar, but they are different. So like an unfortunate social standard is that, hey, actually let me back up, because I wanted to say this when you were talking. When it comes to our expectations, what I have learned is even if I'm not like sat down and told lesson 1, this is how you got to be. But what I've learned just while watching other men interact is like, sex can happen unexpectedly. Therefore, you better be ready. And if you don't expect sex, then there's something wrong with your manhood. So, couple of instances.
Yeah.
I was at the gas station a couple of weeks ago. This lady, pretty attractive, walking from her car. No, she was walking down the street to the gas station. This dude in his car followed her and catcalled her the whole way.
Yeah.
And I would be in the wrong if I was like, "Hey, dude, shut up." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, but here's the thing. Certain men look at that like...
Okay, so he talked about, since you're talking about this, he talked about that. Well, he kind of talked about that in a video. He didn't specify.
He doesn't specify that
so much, but what he does say is that he says, I was raised a certain way that you do these things, you get a nice girl, you provide. So he clearly was taught that you provide for a woman. He was taught that if you're nice, you can get a woman. Those are the things he specified.
Yep.
He said if you do things, you can get a nice woman.
Right.
Which, so there's multiple things. So he's talking about the way that he was taught. He was taught you just do this formula and you get the woman.
But that's from like a familial standard. And that is also, that's in there. But what happens is what society does, they take things and then they begin to twist it. You end up turning it up to 11. It's like, hey, if you holler at women this way, you can get a woman.
You know what I also get from this is like when you said that, when like you were saying like the he was always raised to do this, and what I think is like this guy who was involuntarily celibate, he was doing all these nice things, and it's a case of the good guys always finish last. Because like, also at the same time, you like this dude probably doing his thing, being nice and going out of his way to be a gentleman, and then figure out that this woman was a rebellious person.
But you know what? He wound up with a woman he's been with for 8 years so far. Like,
right? Yeah, and
he got a great relationship from what let him tell it.
Right, and you know what? It's like. Also, I would say at the same time, this would be a thing that be on him. What is he looking for?
And then that's where it's standards and expectations.
Right.
So I think that the difference is standards. This is the way that I would see it. You guys tell me what you think. I think that the standards are what you place on people, and expectations are more what people place on you to have. For instance, I know that didn't make sense, right? I'm kind of tired. Bear with me. Y'all who know me know that I don't make much sense when I'm tired. But am I lying?
No.
Thank you.
She's hilarious. She ain't kicking her feet yet. So.
I almost did there. But what I'm saying is, for instance, the expectation was everything that everyone told him. So he expected if I do A, B, C, I get D, E, F.
He expected specific results.
Right.
Yeah,
but what his standards
like,
were what you said. What is he looking for? Because he was just looking for, what could have been a nice girl
or
whatever,
but
he didn't
follow that formula. Now,
right.
if I did A, B, C,
because that's what he thinks all girls are like,
yeah.
And not realizing, okay, what are the aspects that I want in a woman? What do I want? Do I want her to be funny? Do I want her to be loyal? Do I want her to be honest? What is the traits? Does it matter how important are looks? You know, how important is personality? How important is her belief in God or whatever religion I believe in? You know, those things. And so I think that there's a basic formula, like he was taught. Yeah. And then that was his expectation. Because his parents, it sounded like his parents were probably still together. Because he said, I was raised with my mom, my dad, whatever. So I don't know if they were. He didn't specify.
And you know, like...
real quick. So, like I said, I included the video link in the description. Check it out. It's like 15 minutes. That's why we're not playing it on the show. But it's a really interesting discussion. And I think it can spark some interesting discussions with you and your friends.
Yeah, so definitely watch it. Go ahead.
Oh no, I forgot what I said.
I'm sorry, man.
Okay, so he talked about there's 3 areas he brought up that he thought was totally different for men and women. He thinks that that's partly the reason why men hate women. And the first thing is self-love. He says that men are not taught self-love. Women are taught self-love. Now, the way that he worded it was that women are taught self-love, like they're taught to go and get their nails done. They're taught to go get their hair done. They're taught to go pamper themselves, relax, take care of you. But I don't know, the way that he said it, for me, I was thinking like, how much is that really self-love? Or is that just beautifying and trying to be taught to, because there's a difference between self-love, because self-love has to do with accepting exactly who you are.
What about in this situation that like the self-love thing is like, what he's trying to explain is like how the difference between a man and a woman being raised is like, you know, the men are supposed to be macho and you know, you're not supposed to cry, you're not supposed to
he goes into that.
He pointed a lot about
that was the second.
Really what he's talking about is like the development of like the total person character and all that. So like men, he was pointing out men are more, they have the expectation to be providers, to work, to do sports, you know, to be macho.
But here's the thing.
He don't sound like an alpha male either.
No, he's definitely not. But,
let's not use that term because it doesn't apply to humans at all.
Okay. Well, whatever.
It barely applies.
Okay. Well, anyways, that doesn't even matter. But the whole thing is that he was talking about self-love, and he did talk about, he's like, men are told to go play in the dirt and whatever. But the thing is, honestly, like, I worked at a daycare center. You didn't have to tell the little boys to go play in the dirt. They naturally wanted to play in the dirt.
Yeah.
Not saying like boys naturally want to be dirty. They naturally wanted to run around and fight with each other. And if you actually look at studies that show that that is a perfectly normal stage for boys to go through. Not saying that you should encourage it per se, but boys fighting, it's a very natural progressive stage that little boys, will go through as they're developing into like toddler into childhood. And so it's a natural progression. So some of the stuff he talked about is actually more so a natural progression. It will naturally happen without interfering with
Can we say like maybe in this instance, like, all right, the traditional boy like to go run out and play in the dirt.
Maybe that wasn't him.
And maybe he want to sit up there and jump rope. And
then maybe it was...
No, but I think the bigger point is, like, boys are encouraged to express themselves physically.
Right.
And it tends to be discouraged, or women or girls are encouraged differently. And then if you want to...
express it emotionally.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Boys and girls, they are physical. They have bodies. Girls like to
play. They have bodies?
Yeah.
What? Did you know boys and girls have bodies?
I found out today.
So boys and girls will play in the dirt if you let them. Boys and girls like to communicate. So if you encourage like development and communication, they'll do that. Here's where I believe it differs. Boys are not as encouraged to express themselves emotionally.
Right.
That's true.
In fact, they're very seldom engaged at an early age on that level.
And that's they
are still emotional creatures.
So that's the second thing that he goes into. He said that men are taught to just keep it moving, keep going, and keep it moving because they're not taught to express themselves.
We are not taught to express ourselves, but like that part of our person is not even engaged until like that our culture does now.
I'll say, well,
that's what I'm saying.
I think like, that now I don't even think it's that much different.
It is very
because
different. Here's what happens. Here's the difference. Industrialism. Industrialism took people who normally would express themselves, naturally, and reduced them to components and machines. And so the thing that is, she's smirking. The thing that is the challenge is the way the industrialism it had us moving rapidly, but our minds and our bodies don't develop that quick, and so we have these emotions, but we don't have a place to put them in society, and then that's where you reduce men to what they can absolutely do.
Well, like on that, would that say that create a situation for men that bottle up their emotions so much, eventually they will explode, and it's not good when they have that moment.
So I'm gonna say something real quick. I got what you said, and then I'm gonna read what he said.
Right.
So with that, I was gonna say that men were also traditionally taught to be able to physically express themselves.
Okay.
In now you don't know how to physically express yourself, because if you do something, you're toxic. And I don't mean by beat a woman, because that's not how they were taught to physically express themselves. But when you think men were traditionally warriors, I mean, for thousands and thousands of years, men were warriors or they were workers.
Right.
Like, that's it. Women were not workers. They didn't do much of anything but took care of the house.
Home.
Right. Now, with that being said, because men had the outlet for...
Wait a minute. So you mean for thousands of years, women didn't do anything?
No. I mean, like, I'm talking about it's two different...
They wasn't running around carrying a spear going after buffaloes.
Like women weren't... I mean, it depends on the culture.
It depends on the culture.
It depends on the culture.
Yeah.
It does. It does. It depends on the culture.
Yeah. There are several Amazonian societies throughout.
Wonder Woman type shit.
Hold on, let me read what he said, and then I'm gonna get back to my point. Francisco said, "I feel that most women nowadays don't want a nice guy; they want the guy with the bad boy image."
Rebellious.
We also have to remember that subconsciously we search for partners that will fulfill our happiness, but even more, partners that will fulfill our emotional turmoil that we haven't healed from. We search for our partners that will help us punish ourselves if we haven't fully healed from our childhood traumas.
Those are some really good points.
Like this is what it is. And with this guy right here,
a broken family is one of the main causes of many childhood traumas. That's where I was going with that.
All right, so like with this guy, he's not interesting. He doesn't bring thrill to women's life. They don't see nothing interesting, or that's what I'm saying. Like the good guys finish last.
We don't. All right. We don't know if he's interesting or not. He don't either.
Everything in that article would say that he's not interested.
It was a video. You gotta watch the video.
Well,
you gotta watch the video. And here's the thing.
Here's
the thing. I'll put this out there. I believe that if your primary occupation is I want to get women to pay attention to me, but you don't have, if you're not self-substantiated, if you're not confident in yourself, then you're not interesting. You're a scary little dude.
Okay, we're gonna get to that.
You gotta be an asshole.
But hold on.
You gotta be an asshole.
Hold on. So Francisco said, and this is actually where I was going with this, but you guys keep talking and then making me go other places because I take a long time to get to the end of the story. But a broken family is one of the main causes of many childhood traumas. He said he's interesting as fuck. And you talking about that other guy. Oh, yes, we're not talking about you, friend.
Yeah, we're not talking about you.
Okay, so what I was getting at is the whole thing is that men were taught by other men how to properly express themselves. And for them, it was a lot more physical, a physical way to do it. No, you're doing this, but as people got more refined over time, that's only in the last couple hundred years, maybe the last 1,000 years, but that's not in the last 2,000-3,000 years for this to be very common for people to have, because you look at Socrates and Plato, that's still the last 2,000 years. That's
a very specific culture that we're talking about.
Right. And still, even within that culture, there were many warriors. There were many, and I'm using the word warrior because that fits all cultures, whatever, troops, whatever we call them. But there were many warriors. There were many, and the whole purpose was for a lot of those, it was where the father would take them. I mean, even if you look at biblical values, it's the... Hold on.
Let me throw that whole table over
real
quick.
Hold on. Let me say this, and then you go. But it's really the man's job. It talks about it's the man's job to really raise the child. People miss that.
So, the Maasai warriors in Kenya, they live pretty much a pre-industrial, primitive lifestyle. It's a culture that still exists to this day. The first 12 years of the child's life is exclusively in the mother's care. And the way that they do that...
paycheck? That's a check?
And the way that they do that is the mothers, they take the kids, they do their hair. And it's really cool because the way that they do it is you can tell the difference between a child and an adult by the hairstyle. The Maasai children, the boys and girls, they look pretty much the same. They wear red dreadlocks. When the boys are then initiated into manhood, they are taken away from the women. Their hair is cut, and they become warriors. That's when they're taught how to fight. That's when they're taught how to hunt, and it's more ritualistic than anything. That's from a pre-industrial society. Now, here's the thing: you said that. What did you say? That the men have to do what?
It's the man's job to raise a child.
Yeah,
but it also talks about.
This is what I'm pointing out is in that culture, it is it's the job of the
women start.
So does that go back to the set, Katana, like what you're saying, that it takes a village to raise a child?
Yep.
But even still, I'm going to tell you right now, the most important part of a family is not a village, it's the nuclear family. It's the mom, the dad. Even Barack Obama even pointed out, you have kids are 9 times more likely not to graduate. They're like 12 times more likely to go to jail when they don't have a father in the home. You can sit here and look at studies across the board that show that when there's not a father in the home, that the children statistically are against the odds. I'm not saying you can't do it and you can't push on and you can't because there are many cases.
And the piggyback off of that
culture.
Okay, to our culture and really to most, because even still, when you sit here and say this, if you have a strong male, okay, let's say that's
specific to Western industrialized.
No, let's say me and you. Let's say me and you have a kid. That would never happen. That's gross. That's my brother. Let's say me and you had a kid, right?
If it was the fifth, we all be drunk.
You say, but me and you have a kid, right? We separate. You're not in the picture. You're not in the home. Okay. But then me and Kyle get together. And I mean, you're not in the home, not necessarily because whatever, you're just out doing drugs or whatever. I don't know. I'm just putting you out there on the streets.
You crackhead, you.
I just want to make you a crackhead because I know that would never be you.
Meth?
But meth head, there you go. No, but you're just not in the picture because of your choice, okay?
Right.
So now I'm raising this child. Me and Kyle wind up getting together. We get married. We raise this child. The child still has a nuclear family, even though it's not you. And how important the male is in the family, that has been done. I mean, even still, when you talk about the women start bringing them up, and then they go off to be with the men while they're still young adolescents. So even still, it's still
like, so in that culture.
You said like 14.
Yeah,
that's a young adolescent.
See, like
they're considered men in that culture.
Yeah, but we know that's not.
But so this is so Kyle's trying to get it back on point. But what I'm saying is like the standards that you are expressing are not universal.
No, they are universal.
Absolutely not.
They are overall. They are definitely universal.
Has only been around since the 1950s.
When you talk about a nuclear family, when you talk about a nuclear family, though, the whole purpose is the fact that the man has such a primitive role in raising the children. I don't know, primitive's not the right word, but such a pentacle role. What's the word I'm looking for?
Prominent.
I can't. Thank you. There you go. I knew it was a P. In raising the child, though, and raising the kids, and even in so many cultures, even where it is some kind of more like a villagey whatever, they still have this strong male role model that's teaching them, informing them. You say 14, but genetically. 14, you barely hit puberty. Genetically, you're not really, and I understand that in a culture that takes you on to manhood. It's like when you're okay, Mexicans do quinceañeras because at 15 you're a woman and you can get married at 15 in a lot of cultures, but we know that 15, not just Western, but worldwide, 15 where your brain is, the way that your brain is developed, the way that your body is developed, you're not made to be a wife at 15. But yet historically, that is something, and culturally in a lot of cultures, that's something that keeps happening, but those are children. Mm-hmm. Those are children. So 14, 15, yeah, he might be becoming a man, and that's great for their culture, and it works and whatever.
All I'm saying is,
but he's still a child.
All I'm saying is you're making a sweeping generalization.
No,
it's
true.
That it's not universal.
Okay, we'll just have to agree to disagree because it's statistically proven
we don't have
that
to
the
agree
man
to disagree
have an extreme role
Because
in
every culture
whatchamacallit?
doesn't behave that way. That's
Okay.
what I'm trying to point out.
Okay. Outside of very few cultures that are just women, okay, and these just women cultures, they don't necessarily have men to have children, okay? No, I'm serious. There's a couple in India and there's some in some other places. I forgot where, but these are a real thing.
There's several
okay.
in Africa.
In Africa, they have just
Asia.
women.
Mhm.
So, but the thing is
in
that at
Asia,
some point, especially when they're boys, they wind up going with the men. It's something that happens even in these cultures where the woman, and when I say, even when you talk biblically, which I talk biblically, I know that I do, it talks about that the mother will have the child until he can be weaned from the mother. I don't know what age that is. It doesn't say the kid's 5. It doesn't say the kid's 10.
So they
it's
go
whatever
with
age.
So what they go with the male, the father afterwards because they're the protector, right?
Right. The mother has to kind of nurture and raise them. And I mean, she feeds them. Breastfeeding is more common then than it was now. It's still, every woman can't breastfeed all the time. So they would have other women who would do that. You said,
man.
But
So-
all right, let's move on to
Okay,
this.
so-
you were trying to
women
make some
bre-
points there.
So what? Another woman breastfeed another woman's child?
Yes.
Wow.
That was
Think
very
about
common.
slavery.
That was very common when the
What?
white women couldn't produce.
Yeah, the
they had a woman who had babies that was her job.
The breastfeed. Wow.
Yeah. Okay, so the last thing that he said was find a purpose. And he said, not having a purpose is the least attractive thing you can have. Now, I really agree with that. Again, getting biblical. For me, getting biblical. I always look at Adam and Eve. Before Adam got a wife, he had a place to live, which was in the garden. Yes. He had a purpose and a job. Job was to tend to the garden, and that was his purpose, was to rule over all the things, creepy crawly, whatever. But he had a purpose. Before God even gave him a spouse, he had a purpose. And I mean, I do agree, because even if your purpose is your kids, if your purpose is a business venture, if your purpose is something, if you have no purpose, then what are you doing? Find a purpose. I agree with that.
A lot of people out here wandering without a purpose whatsoever. You ain't got a game plan. You kind of weak. You just kind of subject to.
Why do you think that is?
Because the way how they were raised. Nobody
Pivotal.
taught them the values. They was probably coddled while they were
Oh wait,
young.
hold on real quick. Larkin said even in the women cultures, there's a guy that's raising the kids. It's the uncle.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Is it the uncle?
No. So all right. So
I don't know. I don't really want to say.
No.
because we only have
What he's
10
talking
minutes.
about, there are cultures like, so there are some tribes that would like specifically hide the paternity of the kids from the men to prevent them from favoring and causing a sub hierarchy among the kids.
Yeah.
So there won't be a form of one kid is better than the other.
So
They specifically hide the paternity of the.
So the woman sleeps with multiple men?
They might.
Orgies.
And then when the children are born and raised, it is the job of every man to engage with all the kids, and no one's left.
But see, it's still how important the man is. Okay, so finding a purpose. Let's focus on finding a purpose. That's the purpose of this. We have about.
Would you think they would have some kind of
15 more
guesswork
minutes,
in there? They kind of looking like, which one of these motherfuckers look like me?
I mean,
You know?
I'm pretty sure people figure it out, but I think, but the culture is
Come
those cultures are set up to prevent resentment in the children and separation between the parents.
Right.
And that's
What do you mean by separation between the parents?
So what that means? So you don't create a ownership of the kids over ownership over the kids is. These are our kids.
So the kids know their mother, but they don't know their father.
But nah, I'm gonna have ownership over my children. Like these are my kids. What do you mean how?
But what are you gonna do? Where are you gonna go? What are you gonna do?
Run.
What do you mean? Like I don't think I understand what you're saying, because it's not really registering properly to make sense.
Yeah, I have.
But the point of the fact of the matter is that the men are extremely important. Okay, let me ask you this: how many serial killers?
Oh my God.
Were raised by a single father.
Completely irrelevant.
No, I just want to know.
They was raised by both parents. Like a lot of them were.
A lot of them, more than, and I was gonna say more than that, it could be 51%. Majority were actually raised by a single mother.
Oh wow.
When you look at serial killers, majority, I don't know. I just know it's more than 50%. I mean, that's true. But what I'm saying is, how many of them were raised by, I have yet to see. The only case that I know that's kind of close to a serial killer, which I don't know if that would be classified as a serial killer, was, remember in DC a couple years ago, it was the father and the son, and they were hiding in the trunk. The sniper, and they were picking people off one by one.
Oh wow!
But he wasn't a single father; he was mother and father. But he was spending time with his son. So
how many people do that?
A lot.
Like it's not really applicable to the grander population because it's such a small. Here. It's a small.
It is, but I'm just saying, like that's just one example, like of how important.
No, so
because toxic women are worse than absent fathers, in my opinion. Y'all can hate me. Y'all can change my mind.
I think both are bad.
The toxic woman really doesn't know where the hell she going. She just waking up and just going with the wind each day.
She probably half the time she the reason that there is an absent father.
Yeah.
I mean, be honest, right? Half the time.
Well, I mean, but toxic men just know how to hang on to a woman.
I mean, they could be both. They both could.
Like y'all making some grand sweeping generalizations, and it just like it does. It's not helping the conversation.
Terrible example.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't help the conversation at all. But when it comes to purpose, like my question was, okay, so he says find a purpose, find a reason. Mm-hmm. My question is, why do you think there are so many males that don't have a purpose? And Kyle said because they weren't raised to have a purpose. And they're being coddled. What do you say?
Can I?
Please go ahead.
Let me add on to that. I think that like a lot of them is grown up with no kind of vision in sight, no kind of idea, no plan. I like to do this, and this is what I'm gonna do, or this is what I want to pursue. What I want to see is success. How I'm gonna get there. A person that like they wasn't raised with the values. What I could say, I can't vouch for every single parent household. Anyone that's raised out of a single parent household, you grow up with a sense that I want to do something, I want to be something. I know I'm better than just where I'm at right now. Mm-hmm. I can be doing great things, and sometimes and then there's some situations to where you have to take charge on it. Like as a child, I was the man of the house.
Right.
Like I had to fix shit, and I was a kid. And no one was there, I just had to do it.
I hear that too. Yeah. Is that outside?
Somebody trying to steal a car?
Yeah. I hope they turn it off. Sorry, y'all. We
check our cars or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, what I'm saying? Like, there wasn't somebody that was usually the male being there with the man being there, mm-hmm. Like a male. If it's the grandfather,
kids don't have to
uncle,
grow up that fast.
Yeah, they don't have to, and then they have someone there that can lead by example.
Mm-hmm.
I think, so you are giving some good examples, but I think like the home situation has to be very stable too, regardless if there are two parents or one.
That's true.
What ends up happening for families where the children grow up in poverty, and there is uncertainty that can can cause you to continue to get lost as you are developing as a person. So if you end up moving around a lot. Yeah. Like, you don't know if you're going to come home to food or not. You don't know if you're going to have lights on or not. Those are what cause uncertainty, and that can cause you to get lost when you are in those pivotal years of development.
And that's also been proven, what you're talking about right there, mm-hmm. has been proven to hinder brain development.
Yeah, it absolutely does.
Yeah.
So poverty causes trauma. Mm-hmm. And then if you put on top of that the uncertainty of an absent parent figure, father or mother, you basically compound that uncertainty. And so the person that the child is developing to be is much less mature than a child that is in a more certain situation. And I'm just my whole thing is it all boils down to economics. And it can go back generations or whatever the situation was that the parents grew up in, and what their values were when they were raised. Like the where the mindset of the parents, that the parents will kind of set the standard for things. Like from what I'm seeing from like a lower class to middle class to upper class household.
I think he's confusing purpose with the definition of success.
Yeah, like
Wait, who is lurking? Who's doing it? The
I
guy
think I think he's saying the guy is, but that's also different as
but
well.
it depends on if you saw it. Yeah, and I agree that's definitely different. A purpose.
What were you saying?
Oh,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
well, like
We always cut you off,
Yeah.
Kyle. Don't let us do that to you.
I'm just gonna bombard one day. But anyway,
He gonna flip.
it's,
I'm talking.
Yes,
it's
remember.
like it's like, and I hate to say this, man. I hate to say this. Is the unpopular truth. Like the lower income households, the less educated, and I hate to say that. That's what it has. What it comes to. Now, I'm not saying that for everyone that's in lower, because somebody had to go through hard times, but. You know, sometimes their values and how they teach somebody, they really don't have no structure. And, you know what I'm saying, they really just picking up the pieces themselves. As the middle class, I could see that from there where the middle class and upper class, where they take their child along to show them what they do, to have them do it themselves. Like, if you go into office buildings or go to, like, certain jobs, like electrical jobs, they have their kid or their grandchild there with them, and they just showing them the ropes. Or just really setting the example for them to, like, yeah, this is, you know, this is how I get by. This is where I got where I'm at. To be successful, you see, I put in hard work and I gain that respect and build rapport with other people in my field and what I do. And like that already gives the child a head start, because that gives them good work ethic.
I would say out of most, that's not even that common in the middle class. It's just more common in the lower class.
Yeah.
That would really be extremely common in the upper class, like for real. Because even in the middle class, like outside of, you know, take your kid to work day and stuff, sometimes you don't have that opportunity. Like, how many days can you really take your kids to school to work with you?
Right.
Well,
Well,
really,
all of that is about privilege.
I mean,
and access.
it's all based
like,
on career field and safety on the job. Like there
you
are
can't
some.
if you look, a trash man gets paid very well. I'm gonna read this. They get paid very well. I ain't taking no
They
kid.
do.
Right.
They get
That's
paid
like
very
that's the
well.
most dangerous job in America. Trash.
You know what, my friend, like a good homie of mine's, he drove trash trucks, and then he, you know, like he also had to do the stuff and like it was dangerous because you get like you gotta move,
and you gotta
be efficient.
People lose body parts
Like you know, yeah, and you
very
gotta,
regularly.
People can throw your shoulder out and shit and mess up your back because like some of the trash is light, some of it's heavy. It's a workout, but I think that like he like fucked his pinky up in a compactor one time.
Ooh.
And then like another time the car rolled over. But like all that shit, man, like that job is very dangerous in its own. Like we don't have respect for those guys that come and pick up our trash, but they deal with a lot.
They sure do. What did Franco say? That's
So
Franco.
I'm gonna read two of these. So what Larkin is saying, he thinks that me and Kyle are confusing success with purpose.
Finding purpose.
I haven't even. We'll talk about that. But what Franco is saying is, I think they weren't raised with confidence instilled in them. When your father believes in you, it really does hit different. The belief accompanied by a solid example can influence
support
purpose.
system.
Not to mention kids not knowing who they are and what they are capable of. And this is like, I could reiterate that, but it's like, so confidence has to be instilled by the family unit. Yeah. Your parents. Because in the West, we put such a high value on the status of the father. Yes, it will make a big difference when that confidence is coming from a male. But that's still culturally created. As far as
that's hardly true.
What?
Not to mention kids not knowing what they are and what they're capable of. That's very, very important. But that's something that what I'm trying to point out is like that's something that's lost in our culture because so much stuff that's Gigi. So much stuff is taken away from the individual that gives people purpose. You know, to be able to work and enjoy the fruit of your daily labor. No, the work that we do is endless and it is so automated that you can be replaced instantly. So the individual doesn't matter, and that reverberates throughout the culture. And so people start treating other people like that. Like, I can replace you because I can get somebody that can do what you do, and they might be able to do it better.
But I think when he's talking about the kids, like not knowing who they are, not to mention kids not knowing who they are and what they're capable of. I really think that goes to a lot of the parents because parents will underestimate their children all the time.
Well,
I
like
see it all the
they
time.
already the thing that too, and they are
They
their
act like their
parents,
kid's not as smart as they really are.
the parents already want them to do they already I want him to be a basketball star or football or some kind of sports athlete when that kid doesn't even want to do sports whatsoever. Maybe that kid loves painting. Maybe that kid loves dancing. And then when that kid say, "Hey, this is what I want to do," and that parent discourage them, you don't want to do that, because they don't see it. They impose their own fears onto that child and discourage that child from their
that's true,
dreams.
too.
And you know, like that's the thing that what a lot of people got to get away from. This is where like let your kids be creative. Let them like do what they want to do, excel in that. You know, you will set them off so much
It's
better.
really
in life.
important for the kids to develop, to become
Right.
full people.
So,
You know what I mean?
so
Let
when
them
it talks
express
about
themselves.
finding a purpose, I'm just gonna like basically kind of clarify this. When it talks about finding a purpose, is what are you meant for? It's not about the level of success or what
Yeah.
you're known for or what kind of materialistic things you have.
Like
It's
the-
what are you here for? Why are you on this earth?
The way I look at it,
Yeah.
and like I did like a whole bunch of
Great
like,
point, Kyle.
I did a whole lot
Who
of
said that?
personal
Franco.
development, research and exploration, and what for me when it comes to find a purpose, I think is like what excites you.
Right.
What is something that charges your brain,
What
that
are you good
excites
at?
your heart? What are you good at? What challenges you? What is something that you enjoy? And then also to make this purposeful, what is it that you can do that will
My hair is
improve others as well?
And that's
That's what I think is, because like when you are doing things not just to serve yourself, but it helps you and it helps other people, it feels really good.
Man, this is
Right.
that's the exact thing I preach to my girls. Like I tell them like, what is it that you like to do? What is it what you love to do? And if you love to do it, fucking do it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And don't
put
let
yourself-
nobody tell you
Yeah.
not to.
Like if you gonna do it, and then where the support system come in is like she has relatives in her family be like, why you want to do that? And I'm like, man, fuck that. Don't even listen to them. If you want to do it, fucking do it. I'ma support you.
Yep.
If you want to if you feel like you can succeed doing fucking cartwheels down the street, do that shit. I'll be a cheerleader. I'll walk down while you doing cartwheels, clapping for you. That's what I'm gonna do. That's a support system that I'm gonna create for my child. And what I do is try to encourage them when they grow up. I want them to put them in a place to where they doing what they love. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's too many times I don't want them to wake up and be like, I gotta go to work. Oh, let me go. I want them to wake up. Oh, I want to go knock out this day. I can't wait to get to this day. You know?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
The goal is to put yourself in a good place.
Yeah.
If you love being the asshole, you be an asshole. If you love
That
being
might
a
be
good
your
person,
purpose, to
that's
annoy
your
people.
purpose.
but this, so just to kind of like bring this to the video, he's talking about engaging the opposite
Just
sex,
wrap it up.
engaging women.
I'll wrap it
It's
up.
like
Okay.
when you put all of that stuff together, you have a purpose. You have the thing that you do, that you're good at, that you're excited about. You don't have to superficially perform in front of people in hope that you're gonna make a connection. The connection is gonna come to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you're passionate about something and you do have that purpose, all of the other stuff, the personal development stuff, is going to happen. You don't have to fake it. It just happens and it's real. And it's unfortunate, like as a culture, we're going through the cycle where we've forgotten this, but we're relearning it. You know what I mean? And it's very important. So there's no shortcuts in life. You got to find what you're good at. You got to do your thing, and then you make real human connections with real people. And when it comes to expectations and all that stuff, it won't even, you're not going to be worried about that, because your standards, right? Your standards, people are going to live up to your standards because it's going to be the right people in front of you the whole
So
time.
it's okay to have standards, but drop your expectations.
Yeah.
Learn how to love yourself, and that doesn't mean going beautifying yourself. That means truly loving. That really means accepting you exactly how you are, exactly how God
Take
made
a
you.
shower.
Please take a shower.
Wash your ass.
Please do that. Also, it doesn't mean
Please.
learn, and this is going to be a process.
Change your
This was a
drawers.
process for me as well. learning how to properly express yourself, learning your outlets, and then finding your purpose. So that's the main things. What is your question of the night?
If you, since we're talking about beautification, if you were a cologne or a perfume, what would your name? What would it be? What would your name be?
C10.
I don't know. Something sultry. Like
That's
vanilla.
it. Something sultry, vanilla.
Okay, anyways,
my Calvin Klein.
those of you in the area, in the Kansas City area, don't forget to come see us next week in October 24th for your boy Calton's birthday, Scorpio Fest here at 7601 Truth.
It's going to be live. It's going to be lit. We're going to have vendors. We're going to have live performances. We're going to have people all over this with the block. We're going to have people stepping, dancing and shit. Live bands out here.
Man.
People are going to be lit. Bring your asses out here. Tell your people. Tell more people. Tell more people after that. And when you get done, tell some more people.
We're going to do it the only way Scorpios know how to do it.
Big.
I'm not Scorpio. Leos are bigger. Anyways, y'all have a great
Real big.
night. Great night.
Real,
Scorpio's the
Big.
best sign.
See, I'm just little.
real.
And we real big. Biatch.
All right, good night.